Hey there, I'm Yasmin. Just your everyday, no nonsense kind of gal, but I've got a story to share. A story of heartache, perseverance, and unexpected strength. A few years back, life hit me with a curveball I never saw coming. My husband Tyler and I were living the typical American dream. You know the drill, a nice house in the suburbs, a dog named Max, and plans to start a family. Then life took a detour. I had a miscarriage. It hit us hard, like a punch to the gut that never really goes away. It messed with our heads, our hearts, and most notably, our marriage. Suddenly, we were thrown into a world of pain and confusion. Now, Tyler and I have always been a team, and we vowed to stay strong, but this miscarriage was like a storm cloud that refused to lift. It affected every part of our relationship. We couldn't communicate without arguments, couldn't enjoy the little things in life together, and our intimacy dwindled. And if that wasn't enough, there was Gladys, my mother-in-law. She'd been pressuring us about having kids since our wedding day. It felt like she had her own personal countdown to grandparenthood. The truth is, I had fertility issues, despite the countless doctor's appointments, treatments, and the emotional drain that came with it. Nothing seemed to work. I'd endure the roller coaster of hope with each positive pregnancy test, only for it to come crashing down with another loss. It was devastating. I remember the day we found out. "Tyler, we need to talk." "What's wrong, babe?" "I went to the doctor today and I had a miscarriage." "What? No, that can't be right." "It is, Tyler. I'm so sorry." "This isn't fair, Yasmin. We've been through so much already." "I know, Tyler. I never asked for this to happen." "But we wanted this so badly. We did everything right, Yasmin." "I know, Tyler. I wanted it more than anything. Do you think I wanted this?" "I just don't get it, Yasmin. Why does life keep kicking us when we're down?" It was exhausting, dealing with the physical and emotional stress of losing a baby, and it kept on happening again and again and again. Years went by, and let me tell you, trying to have a baby was getting seriously tough. It was like this big weight just hanging over us all the time, and it got heavier as time passed. Our friends and family meant well, but they couldn't help but notice we were still kidless. They'd throw in comments and questions about when we'd finally have a little one. But Gladys, Tyler's mom, took it to a whole other level. She wouldn't let it go. Every family gathering turned into an inquisition about our family plans. And she always seemed to blame me, like it was all on me that we didn't have a child yet. And maybe it was, since I was struggling with fertility, but she didn't need to be so rude about it. She'd say things like, "Oh, Yasmin, it's so nice to see you. How have you been?" "I've been good, Gladys. Thanks for asking." "And any good news to share? About a little one on the way?" "Gladys, we've talked about this. We're still trying, but it's not that easy." "Oh dear. Are you doing everything right? I mean, you've been married for quite some time now. Maybe it's time to see a specialist." "Yes, Gladys, we've seen specialists. We're doing everything we can. It's just not happening as easily as you might think." "Well, maybe you should try some of those natural remedies. I've heard herbal tea and certain positions can really help. I really want a grandbaby. You know this." "Gladys, we appreciate your concern, but this is a private matter. We're handling it the best we can." "Oh, please, private salivate. We're family. We should talk about these things openly." "I understand that, Gladys, but let's just enjoy our time together today without discussing this, okay?" "All right, dear. But tick, tick, time is wasted, and soon you won't be able to have kids at all." "I'll keep that in mind, Gladys." She was so annoying. It was always like this, trust me. I felt so much pressure and shame for not being the perfect daughter-in-law and providing her with her grandkids. And the funny thing, I never heard her attack her own daughter with these expectations. Hell, she wasn't even married. Yet she got a free pass? It was super annoying. It was an incredibly tough period in our lives. The pressure from Gladys just kept mounting, and it felt like she was constantly holding my fertility against me. I could see the strain it was putting on Tyler and me. I suggested adoption several times, but Tyler remained stubborn, insisting on only having a biological child. We'd have these heated arguments about it. I'd tell him how cruel and insensitive it was to differentiate between biological and adopted children because in my eyes there's no difference. But he couldn't shake the idea that he wanted his own baby. It was heartbreaking because I knew there were so many children out there in need of loving homes. As for Gladys, her behavior became outright rude. She was relentless in blaming my infertility for everything as if it was something I could just magically fix. I felt like I was caught in this impossible situation, trying to save my marriage while battling this constant barrage of judgment and criticism. It was emotionally exhausting. And of course, Gladys didn't stop to let me know her true feelings about my infertility. Yasmin, you need to fix this and fast. You're the reason we don't have any grandchildren yet. Gladys, I've been trying everything I can, but it's not that simple. You know, I'm dealing with fertility issues. Well, you need to try harder. We can't have our family line end with you. I just couldn't understand why she was so adamant about this baby thing. Like, seriously? Expecting kids was one thing, but I swear she was about to go all Handmaid's Tale on me if I didn't pop out a baby right that instant. I decided to have a heart-to-heart conversation with my sister-in-law, Faith, who had always been more understanding. Faith, I don't get it. Why is your mom so fixated on me having a baby? It's not entirely in my control, and she's making my life miserable. Yasmin, it's not just about grandkids. I could tell that she was holding something, and after some prying, she finally spilled what she had been hiding. I overheard her talking to some family friends. Mom's worried that Tyler might leave you for someone younger, someone who can have kids. What? Tyler would never do that. I know you believe that, but you don't know Tyler. He used to be quite the player growing up. And you've just been sitting on this information? Hey, I don't know what you want me to do. That's my brother, and I'll always have his back. You're lucky I even revealed this information, and to be honest, I think I agree. What? Yeah, Yasmin, time is ticking. And I'm not saying it's right, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did leave you for someone younger. There's this one co-worker. She's an intern. She's about 24 or so, and let's just say that they enjoy talking to each other. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My husband was not only thinking about leaving me for someone younger, but already entertaining other women behind my back. My heart had reached its breaking point. After discovering Tyler's betrayal and his affair with a younger co-worker, I couldn't pretend any longer. The wedge between us had grown into a gaping chasm, and I knew it was time to confront him. One evening, he mustered the courage to ask me about my distant and standoffish behavior. I couldn't hold back any longer, the pain and frustration bubbling over. I lashed out, accusing him of infidelity and telling him that I wouldn't be surprised if he was cheating on me. At first he denied it, as anyone caught in such a situation might. But as the seconds ticked by, he eventually admitted to his wrongdoings. At that moment, the anger and betrayal were too much for me to bear. I slapped him, a physical manifestation of the pain he'd inflicted upon me, and declared that I wanted a divorce. Tyler's reaction was predictable, a mix of pleading and begging for forgiveness. But I saw through it all. I wasn't blind to the possible motive behind his desperation. You see, I had built a comfortable life for myself and, thanks to my career and wise financial choices, had accumulated considerable wealth. It had become painfully clear to me that Tyler had clung to our deteriorating relationship, hoping that if we had a child, he could secure his financial future through child support payments in the event of a divorce. How slimy. I was done with the lies and the charade. I knew I deserved better than this, and my wealth wouldn't be used as a bargaining chip in this heartbreaking situation. Worthless scum! How could you, Tyler? How could you betray me like this? Yasmin, please, just listen to me. I messed up. I know I did. I'm so sorry. Sorry? Sorry doesn't cut it, Tyler. You cheated on me with that woman from your office. Yasmin, you have to understand, I was feeling so inadequate, so unfulfilled in my life. I thought having a child would make me feel like a real man, like I was worth something. Oh, really? So you thought cheating on your wife was the solution? Did you think sleeping with someone else would magically make you a better person? No, of course not. I was an idiot to think that. I just didn't know what to do. You didn't know what to do, so you decided to hurt me instead. Do you even realize the pain you've caused? Yasmin, I can't lose you. Please, let me make this right. I'll do anything. Anything? Do you think you can make up for this with a few empty promises? You need to grow up, Tyler, and take responsibility for your actions. As I sat in the lawyer's office, signing the final divorce papers, a sense of relief washed over me. The weight of a broken marriage and Tyler's betrayal was finally lifting, and I felt like I could breathe again. Gladys and Faith had tried to convince me to reconsider, but I couldn't ignore the deceit they had harbored. I knew what was right for me, and staying with a man who had cheated was not an option. With the prenuptial agreement in place, the divorce proceedings moved swiftly. I got to keep the house, a sanctuary where I could rebuild my life. Tyler, on the other hand, was forced to move back into his mother's house, a situation he clearly wasn't thrilled about. On the day the divorce was finalized, I walked out of that lawyer's office feeling free and liberated from a toxic relationship. But as I drove home, a wave of nausea washed over me. I quickly pulled over, stumbled out of the car, and barely made it to the side of the road before I threw up. My stomach twisted with discomfort, and for a moment I wondered if it was just the emotional toll of the divorce catching up with me. But as the days passed and the nausea persisted, I couldn't ignore the possibility that something else might be going on. The very next day after the divorce, I was rudely awakened by a commotion outside my home because my doorbell was going crazy. To my dismay, it was Tyler, Gladys, and Faith. They had come knocking on my door, shouting about the prenuptial agreement and how unfair it was to leave Tyler with so little, given my wealth. Gladys and Faith barged into my home, looking stern and determined. Gladys wasted no time in getting to the point. Yasmin, we're here to collect some money as compensation for all the years Tyler wasted with you. Have you lost your mind? Don't you know the divorce is finalized? I don't owe him jack. Sure, I guess, but this is a side deal, if you will. Side deal? Yes, Yasmin. You've put me through a lot and I need compensation. You're lucky we aren't taking this to court. Faith nodded in agreement. Yeah, he's been through so much stress because of you. We think at least $10,000 should cover it. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I felt a fire rising within me. I shot back, my voice trembling with a mix of anger and disbelief. Are you kidding me? You think you deserve compensation for the years I spent trying to make this marriage work? If anything, I'm the one who needs compensation. I knew Tyler was practically broke, so there was no way he could give me anything. Yet I was determined not to let them bully me into giving them money. I'd had enough. With a mix of anger and determination, I retorted that the whole point of a prenup was to protect my assets. I told them that they needed to leave my house immediately, but not before I showed them something that would certainly leave them stunned. You three think you're so slick coming here and harassing me for money? You're lucky I'm not calling the cops on you right now, but just wait one moment before I do. I need to show you something. I rushed back upstairs, my heart pounding. I returned with the pregnancy test in my trembling hand, their eyes widening with shock and disbelief as they saw it. The test clearly read positive. As they passed the test around, I explained that I had thrown up the previous night and decided to take the test on a whim. The result was unexpected, to say the least. Later that day, I had a hospital appointment to determine how far along I was in the pregnancy. Tyler, Gladys, and Faith stood there, jaws practically on the floor, unable to comprehend the twist of fate that had just unfolded before them. You know what, Gladys, Faith? Karma is a real piece of work, and I guess the universe decided it was time to bless me. I'm having a baby, but I'm no longer tied to any of you. The baby might be Tyler's, but this baby is going to be all mine. Faith and Gladys exchanged worried glances before Gladys spoke up. Yasmin, let's not be too hasty here. We could work something out and discuss an arrangement. Tyler, finally finding his voice, mumbled incoherent apologies, his eyes brimming with regret. But I wasn't having any of it. I'd had enough of their manipulation and toxicity. No more arrangements, no more excuses. Get off my property, all of you, before I call the police. I'm done with this toxic circus. Gladys and Faith exchanged worried glances as I stood firm in my decision. I could sense their desperation to change my mind, but after years of enduring their emotional pressure, I had built a wall that was not so easily broken down. Gladys finally broke the tense silence. Yasmin, you have to understand that we care about this family. We want what's best for you and the baby. Tyler may have made mistakes that you knew about, by the way. That's not important right now, and you know it. He's the father, and he has a right to be in his baby's life. Yeah, Yasmin, you know how long we've been waiting for this. We can make this work, trust me. I sighed, trying to maintain my composure. I understand your concern, but what you fail to grasp is that Tyler's actions caused this rift in our marriage. He cheated on me, Gladys. You're a smart woman. I'm sure you don't even believe what you're saying. You three are just trying to get into my life to get access to my pockets. That's ridiculous. Yes, I agree. You're taking these things too. He shattered the trust that held us together. Tyler, who had been mostly quiet until now, stammered. Yasmin, I messed up big time. I regret what I did, and I'm willing to make amends. For the sake of our child, can't we try to work this out? I looked at him, my eyes filled with a mixture of anger and sadness. Tyler, this isn't just about your infidelity. It's about years of emotional manipulation and pressure from your mother and sister. I've endured so much because of your family, and I can't go back to that toxic environment. Faith tried a different approach, her voice softer. Yasmin, we admit we made mistakes too. We were too pushy, and we're sorry for that. But we only wanted what was best for you, even if we went about it the wrong way. Please, for the sake of the family, reconsider. But I wasn't falling for it. Sure, Faith. But it doesn't change what happened. I've made my decision. I want a fresh start for myself and my child, away from the constant pressure and guilt trips. So thanks, but no thanks. Gladys, clearly frustrated, raised her voice. You're being unreasonable, Yasmin. You can't just cut us out like this. I took a deep breath, my patience wearing thin. I can, and I will. My priority now is the well-being of my children, and I won't subject them to this toxic environment. You all need to leave. Faith started to tear up, her voice trembling. Yasmin, please don't do this. We love you. And we want to be a part of your life and the baby's life. As I've mentioned, you all can have a relationship with the baby, but I won't compromise my happiness and mental health for anyone. Please, I don't want to have to repeat myself. Tyler, who had been silently crying throughout the conversation, finally spoke up, his voice cracking. Yasmin, please reconsider. I'll do whatever it takes to make things right. I'm sorry about those girls. They meant nothing. I looked at him, my heart aching for the man I once loved. Tyler, it's too late for us. But you can still be a good father to our child. Just remember that actions speak louder than words. With that, I turned and walked away, locking my door behind them, leaving Gladys, Faith, and Tyler standing there, their faces filled with a mix of sadness and regret. It was time to start a new chapter in my life, one where I could finally breathe without the weight of their expectations and demands. Life had taken a turn for the better. I had my beautiful baby girl, and she was the center of my universe. She was healthy, thriving, and source of immeasurable joy in my life. Each day spent with her filled my heart with love and gratitude. I had decided to allow supervised visits with Tyler, Gladys, and Faith, as I believed that my daughter deserved to know her father and have a connection with her paternal family. However, I had set clear boundaries, and I expected those boundaries to be respected. But every visit seemed to be accompanied by the same chorus of pleas and accusations. They insisted that I was being selfish for not reuniting with Tyler. The pressure and guilt-tripping were relentless, and it started to wear on my patience. One day, during yet another supervised visit, the familiar arguments began. Gladys and Faith launched into their usual tirade about how I was tearing the family apart. They claimed that I was depriving my daughter of a complete family and that she deserved to have her parents together. I had had enough. I gently placed my baby girl in her crib and turned to face them, my voice firm but weary. I've been patient, and I've tried to maintain a civil relationship for the sake of our child, but this constant badgering and shouting are unacceptable. Tyler tried to intervene, saying, Yasmin, please, can't we talk about this? I shook my head. No, Tyler, this isn't up for debate. I've made my decision and it's final. I won't tolerate this environment for our daughter. Gladys and Faith exchanged frustrated glances but continued to argue. They accused me of being rigid and unreasonable. I took a deep breath and spoke sternly. This is your last warning. If you can't respect my boundaries and continue to pressure me, you won't be allowed to see her anymore. I won't expose her to this toxic behavior. Tyler, realizing that I was serious, finally stepped in. Mom, Faith, please, we need to respect Yasmin's wishes. Our daughter deserves a peaceful and loving environment. Gladys and Faith fell silent, their faces a mix of disappointment and resignation. They finally understood that their constant interference was driving a wedge between them and their granddaughter. From that day forward, our visits were more peaceful. They still held out hope for a reunion between Tyler and me, but they no longer pressed the issue during our visits. I could tell they were still very remorseful, but I didn't care. I had better things to prioritize. My daughter continued to thrive, surrounded by love from the people who actually cared about her and me.